Hello and welcome to Celebrity Natal Charts. Today we are going to be looking at the natal chart of Muhammad Ali, who was born in Louisville, Kentucky, United States. Yeehaw! January 17th, 1942 at 6:35 p.m. Birth time accuracy, excellent, it says. Um, 17 is the number of the star tarot card, so it is pretty, like if I were to have read his chart or something when he was a child, it would have been very clear to me that he was destined to be famous. He is born, I keep switching it up, like if the Chinese or lunar astrology is at the beginning or at the end of the video. Some of the Capricorns ones, it's at the beginning, some at the end. I'm trying to have this be like Catherine Tate or Little Britain, where it's like you know what to expect in each reading. But I don't know. I just looked it up, so now I want to like talk about it. But 1942 is the year of the horse. He's born in the year of the horse. That doesn't have as much significance right now to me, but he's a horse, and maybe we'll look up some horse stuff after we read his chart. But he has a rising Leo, and I wasn't going to do his chart just because I'm trying to get more people that are living and alive, which he might be, which I would, with the David Bowie video, I was like, I don't know if he's alive or not, and David Bowie unfortunately has passed in 2016. I'm a little bit apprehensive to read his bio because I know that he has like a birth name, like a preferred name. And it is sort of my belief, whether if it's like a religious name change or not, that changing your name does affect your numerology and your destiny. But as we can see from his birthday, he was always destined to be famous. So perhaps the name wasn't that important. But Cassius Clay is an amazing name for a boxer. Muhammad Ali is like, you know, it's God. You know what I mean? So like how can you really like what's better than God, right? My name is Godson Godman. You know what I mean? Godson Godman, that's my name. Don't wear it out. But Muhammad Ali, born Cassius Marcellus Clay, like Cassius Marcellus Clay Jr. sounds like someone whose whole family will beat you up. January 17th, 1942, is an American former professional boxer, generally considered among the greatest heavyweights in the sport's history, a controversial and polarizing figure during his early career. Ali is today widely regarded for the skill he displayed in the ring, plus the values he exemplified outside of it: religious freedom, racial justice, and the triumph of principle over expedience. Principle over expedience, yeah, okay. In the words of writer Joyce Carol Oates, he was one of the few athletes in any sport to completely define the term of his public reputation. Work. So go ahead, work, Mr. Ali. It's great. I feel that way about him too. I would agree. I would agree with everything that was just said. I respect him so much that I didn't even want to say his former name. I was like, I don't know, his ghost might come and punch me. My name is Ali. Okay, whatever. Wow. Okay. So, Mr. Muhammad Ali, he has the rising Leo. So, not only does he have a birth date that indicates fame, his rising sign indicates fame and attention, popularity, good hair, beautiful face. The rising Leo, they're sexy, they're attractive. He has Pluto, Chiron, I believe Pluto and Chiron in his first house. Um, or I'm wrong as hell. No, Chiron Leo and then Pluto Leo. Okay, yeah. Got Pluto Leo in his first house. So yeah, I mean Pluto and Leo in his first house talks about changing his name, changing his identity, changing the way that he looks. Maybe I don't know, cause Chiron to me in the first house of Leo, especially talking about a man who's has two famous names. Maybe it's like I feel like Muhammad Ali is a great name, but maybe it's like he's really good at maybe his kids have better names or something. Like he's really good at picking out people's names or their identities. But he had a hard time doing that for himself. It was like this whole journey of life and self discovery of figuring out who he was and what he stood for. But this to me, it's like I don't know. Like his daughter might have like a really good name, and his kids might have really good names. Uh, was able to push them to fame in a very easy way that might have been difficult for him because of the way he looks and who he is. Um, but yeah, Pluto talks about changing your name, changing your clothes, changing your identity. And then also, I always feel like so. Well, before I talk about this, um, I was talking about like if I had kids, and it's like I wouldn't really like put anything on them. You know what I mean? Like you obviously got to dress them up, right? So it's like if I had kids and I was in charge of picking out their clothes, I would be like, okay, Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Like Huey, you're getting nothing but red clothes. Dewey, you're getting nothing but blue clothes, and Louie, you're only getting green clothes. And it's not because you're a fire sign or water sign or earth sign. It's for organizational purposes, you know. So then I also thought like with children, it's like I wouldn't necessarily try to pigeonhole my kids into anything. But some kids are like, it's like Alvin and the Chipmunks. Like some kids are just like naturally Alvin and they're like really cool and people like them. And then some kids are like Simon, just like smart and intelligent, whatever. So maybe that was like a thing for him. He was like, I know which one of my kids are going to be brainy, which ones are going to be brawny. Um, and or even maybe his father had the same energy. It's almost like being like the sorting hat. It feels like from Harry Potter. And there was something else I was gonna say about all that, and I had forgotten, so I guess it wasn't that important. But then he has a second house in Virgo, so that means like Virgo to me, being from America, represents like the breadbasket states, like Maryland, Virginia, Pennsylvania, Kentucky, Tennessee, like where he's from, actually. Where is he from? Kentucky, yeah, Kentucky and Georgia and places like that. Could be the Midwest, but I don't know. That's more like Taurus to me for whatever reason. It's like Virgo, the Virginia Company, colonization, Queen Victoria, like, just Virgo things, right? Purity, chastity, like the Puritans in New England or whatever. So his greatest asset, his cash cow, his second house is his virtue. So, I mean, I guess there's a lot of people who are religious. So if he was like a rising, whatever sign comes before Pisces, a rising Aquarius, and he had Pisces in his second house, I would say like spirituality and his connection to God would be his biggest cash cow. But I think that would be more like Tammy Faye Baker. It'd be interesting to look at her chart. Like actually making money off of God. But it's like I think Virgo in the second house sounds like very powerful to me. It's like people give you money because of your not just like your like anybody could go out and say that they're a Muslim, but it's like it's another thing to be like I've never seen him eat pork or he prays 5 times a day. He's like really devout about this. And there are a lot of people, especially in the African American community, and God bless them, who turn to Islam at certain points of their life from going to jail or whatever it is for safety because people are less likely to harass you or get you wrapped up in things that you shouldn't be involved in if they know that you're spiritual and you have a connection to God. Because thieves and bad people all believe in God, trust me. They pray every day. Um, but I guess like for him, whether if he was Muslim or Jewish or Christian, it's always been his virtue. Even if he didn't have a religion or wasn't famous for practicing a certain religion, he would still be well known for his virtue. That's cool. I guess this technically has to be the third celebrity rising Leo chart that I've done. And I've done a million different charts. Like I don't know if I have done anybody in my clients with rising Leo, but it's also never come through as powerfully as it has in this reading. His north node and Neptune are also in Virgo. So I mean, I'm not trying to say he is a Leo. I'm not trying to say that he wasn't devout. Like I went on a good 10-minute rant just now about how great he is. But life is yin and yang. So there probably was a kickback of like wanting attention and wanting to get on television, and it's like, okay, what can I do to stir up controversy that Muhammad Ali or Cassius Clay is on the 9 o'clock news? I'm changing my name. I'm Muslim. You know what I mean? In a time where people were like, you know, still afraid of Red China and Russia and things like that. So Neptune being the second house, it's like, oh, his virtue, his beliefs, is all, his cash cow is also what got him on television more. But it was also his destiny to do that, to kind of like maybe even lead his people or usher his people back to Allah. Allah? Yeah, it's back to Allah. I thought, I don't know. I thought his name was Ali. I thought Ali was Allah, and I just remembered, and whatever. I'm dumb. And now everybody can hear me being dumb. Um, but I said it right the first time. Okay, so like trying to lead his people back to Allah is sort of his destiny, his people, his Virgo people from the breadbasket of America, Tennessee, Kentucky, Virginia, da 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 da. And his third house, he has Libra. So this says that he probably, I mean, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. He was good at poetry. This says that he's probably a beautiful singer. He probably has like a very beautiful singing voice. Probably like, if he gets like really angry at the supermarket to calm himself down, he probably sings, or just music and song was probably a really big part of his life that he may not have shared as much as he should have. But spoke beautifully. He was like a beautiful, beautiful orator. Like he was, yeah, like Libra third house work. Muhammad Ali is giving me chills. Like work Muhammad Ali, Libra third house, like known for saying beautiful things. Done. Next house. Fourth house, Scorpio. Fourth house Scorpio talks about like his mother's death and changes going on with his mother's side of the family, kind of holding him back and not helping him move forward in life. So is sometimes mothers, especially with the fourth house, like cancers, like a Maryland blue crab will pull you back down to the bottom of the barrel if they don't feel like they're able to escape as well. But maybe his mother had a deeper connection to like occult magic. I know in most religions, like, so in Catholicism, I think it's like the biggest difference between Catholics and Protestants is that like Catholics believe that Jesus is magic, which I used to make fun of all the time. I love Sarah Silverman, Sagittarius. Used to make fun of that all the time, but I was like, Jesus is sort of magic. And then I know like in Islam, I forget which one, but it's like the Sunni and the Shiite, and one of them like believes in magic, and the other one is like jerks or something. They're just like, we believe in religion, but like as a joke, and we're mad at you because you think the other one is magic or something like that. I don't know. It's probably, the difference between the Catholics and the Protestants and the Sunni and the Shiite and the North Irish and the regular Irish. It's probably drugs or something. It's probably all opium war that they're disguising with like religion and everything else, but it's probably just all opium war. Anyway, but that's his fourth house, or opium. Well, Scorpio, needles, opium war. Red China. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So his fifth house is in Sagittarius. The fifth house, I always say, it is the house of sexy distractions. It is the house of detours. It is the obstacles that God is presenting in your life. Sometimes, especially with sexy distractions, obstacles can be good. You know what I mean? It makes it more interesting. This is how I've always felt about the sign of Capricorn, where it presents limitations to overcome. Like you might want to build a house, but there's like a lake or a mountain or something, and you have to be creative and build a whole new different type of home that is compatible with the limitations that are presented, with the terrain that you've been presented, blah 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 blah. But the fifth house, I think, is more about like hurdles, because it's like I could watch somebody run a race and watch their junk all jingle around and get all sweaty, or they could also jump over hurdles while they're running, and there's more jiggle for me to watch, And so that's sort of like God's idea with the fifth house. It's like more hurdles, more jiggle, more sweat, which he also has in Sagittarius, and he's born in year of the horse. So, he might have ran track at some point. He might have tripped over a hurdle once or twice in his life. But I say that definitively, his biggest obstacle in life was his competitors, obviously, in the boxing ring, but also people being competitive with him, and him also being a very competitive person, which, I mean, he could have been in a competition with his mother, with his children, with the people that he dates, his spouses, and things like that. I know that's a really big thing in, like, heterosexual dating, where it's, like, it's de rigueur for the man to pay for the date. And it's almost insulting for the woman to sometimes even offer in certain cultures. But then there is this, like, jealousy or hatred towards, oh, this woman, I actually saw this in the Boondocks, like a clip from the Boondocks yesterday, and it's like, oh, she's a hoe. I gotta pay for her dinner. Like she's a hoe. You know what I mean? And it's like, no, it's just decorum. You know what I mean? So I guess I do sense in his chart a little like jealousy against his spouses or the people that he took on dates or the fact that he'd have to pick up the check more often. But it's like you're Muhammad Ali, you're famous, you're rich. What's that guy? I don't know if that's Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali, but like the guy with the crazy hair. Why was his hair so crazy? Why was he allowed to be on TV? You know, guys, I'm talking about the boxing promoter guy, like the only boxing promoter anybody knows. Like, why was he allowed to be on TV with such crazy hair? So the way that he's supposed to the way that he's supposed to, girl, I can't, like, literally, like, I can't even think of, like, when I'm doing tarot, I can't even think of the word, like, major anacara or minor anacara. I can only think of the word trump cards. And so I'm, like, really not trying to say that name right now, but the only way that he can trump all of his competition, all his sexy distractions of his fifth house. Also, Sagittarius are like hoes and they like orgies to the Capricorns. Especially being like a professional athlete. I don't know if he was ever at the Olympics, but I know like the Olympics has a really huge sexual charge to it. So maybe it was like staying faithful, staying virtuous, avoiding like the temptations of the literal devil. Like, could you imagine like a bunch of gymnasts and boxers and whatever trying to have sex with you and like having to say no to fight to protect your reputation? And there's sort of this like, I mean, there's been I think a million of these, but there's like this viral like two African boxer guys like pretty much making out at the weigh-in. And I was like, what is the weigh-in? Like what this is like they're always wearing like sexy little underwear. I don't know, maybe back in the day they used to wear boxer shorts. But I'm like they're always in their underwear. I don't understand why they're in their underwear and they like get face to face. It's like the first round, it's like, well, if you kiss me, then I win. And they're like kissing each other. And I was like, yeah, sports are gay. I don't know. But how are we supposed to come over all the gayness of sports? I should just use the F word because I did call Zayn Malik an F bomb, and I apologize. I just, I get possessed by the Holy Ghost or the Holy Ghost of astrology and it just takes over. But the way that he's supposed to trump his competition is with his sixth house in Capricorn, how he heals himself, how he learns, how he makes money, what he does every day is Capricorn. So I'm surprised that, like, Michael Jordan has a huge, athletic brand and tie-ins with Nike. It would seem he probably does or has at certain points, maybe in the month of February. Um, but this says to me that like he has a really good business mind, or he might get knocked out in the ring a couple times, but when he gets out of the ring, he's still a brand. He's still Muhammad Ali. And this sort of, I was thinking, with certain people who want to be famous or people who are semi-famous, and I don't know anything that I'm about to say is like legally true, but I made this meme series with Sarah Jessica Parker, Sagittarius maybe, and it was taken down from YouTube because of copyright infringement. And it could be from the show, like the actual clip from the television show, because it wasn't like, you know, uh, um, Us Weekly picture. I think it was from the new Sex in the City or something. But then also, I mean, like what my guide sort of told me, it was like it's because her face is copywritten. Like you may not think Sarah Jessica Parker is that pretty or that beautiful, but her face is iconic. Like she's almost more well known than Mickey Mouse at this point. So when you're thinking about being famous, it's like it's sort of like, I don't know, just to equate it back to RuPaul's Drag Race. Like there's like these queens like Miss Cracker and Aquaria, and they're beautiful and they're polished, and you can't say anything about their outfits, their makeup, and everything fits and blah blah blah. But they all sort of look alike. You know what I mean? And I think with like, just to make this all about race, with like black queens like Jasmine Masters, Kennedy Davenport, Bibi Zahara Benet, you would never mistake them for one another. They're different heights, they're different sizes, their faces, their lips, their teeth. You would never mistake them for one another. Like they're completely unique. And Muhammad Ali, he has a very square cut jaw, a very square cut head. He's a Capricorn. So I wouldn't be surprised that if you went to Louisville, Kentucky, you'd be like, is that Muhammad Ali? Is that Muhammad Ali? Oh my God, that guy looks like Muhammad Ali. But his name, his image, his virtue has become iconic and unique. And that's what he was supposed to do to overcome and be more well known than his competition. Because even in that, like, I don't even know, I don't know, because I don't know too much about sports. So I don't know if like Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, and George Foreman were all at the same time, or how their careers sort of matched up or whatever. But I'll tell you right now, I was depressed when I was a little kid and I didn't have that George Foreman grill. I was in shape when I was a kid, but I was like, if I die of diabetes, it's because I don't have this grill. um, but, like, I can't even, other than Ryan Paul or whoever just fought Mike Tyson, the YouTube guy, I couldn't tell you one famous boxer from the 60s. I couldn't tell you one famous white boxer if you held me upside down by my feet, you know? No. Like I would like literally be like, okay, I know nothing. Um, so I think he did very well for himself. I think he always knew that he was going to do very well for himself. It's in his soul, His sun is in his sixth house. He knows how to heal himself. He knows that doctors and things like that and a lot of medicine are lies and television. You know what I mean? So he really knew how to take care of himself. He probably even had to get involved with like FBI, CIA type of stuff that unbeknownst to the public. Oh yeah, definitely with like Black Panthers and Nation of Islam and anybody trying to be influential. Uh, I'm sure he was involved with like Elijah Muhammad and Louis Farrakhan and like the Million Man March and the Million Family March and things like that. Why wouldn't he have been? Um, oh, but does he have an Aquarius moon? And we take everything back and we don't like him because of the Aquarius moon. Just kidding, we hate him. Just kidding, just kidding. Um, it's like, oh no. But then it's in his soul. He's a soul man. Um, what is this? Yeah. So maybe he even knows, like, to heal yourself, to blow off steam, to trump the competition. Sometimes you just need to go to the beach and lay in the sun or go for a walk and use solar power to heal yourself. But definitively, how Mr. Muhammad Ali was able to crush his competition and make himself wealthy and famous is his Capricorn energy, his sun sign, being good at business, being very well spoken and professional. And then his seventh house of relationships, I would be very curious to look up. I don't even know who he was married to or who his wife was. Very rising Leo. Just completely eclipse the partner, and I just won an Oscar, and I think I'll marry a maid. Hello, Starbucks employee. You want to get married? I just want to marry someone who's not gonna do anything to make me feel less famous. But so in his seventh house of relationships, where he has Venus, Mercury, and the Moon, which are all like the love planets. So an Aquarius sun or rising Aquarius would be a really good love match for him. He talks like an Aquarius. He attracts like an Aquarius. He's beautiful like an Aquarius, which Aquarius is not really like the sign of beauty or nothing. So very manly, very masculine. Like when I think, obviously when people think of Aquarius, they think of like Ganymede, like but Ganymede, so sexy, so handsome, so beautiful, or whatever it was, Zeus was like, you should be our bartender, and that's it. This guy, he makes my thunderbolts. This guy controls the seas and storms. This woman, controls the hearts and minds. You're gonna pour the ambrosia. So maybe if he didn't become like a famous boxer, maybe become a famous bartender or something because, preaching to people about Islam. Um, but he probably never had an issue attracting a partner. We'll say that. Black Book probably filled. The Aquarian Moon, they steal. The Aquarius Moon, theft. Theft, shenanigans, Scandinavian, awful things. They're just like bad people. Bad, awful people. Bad and ugly. No, with the Aquarius Moon, it talks about like discomfort around emotions, discomfort expressing emotions, which, as people grow through life, like I don't want to say like he never told his wife or his kids that he loved them, but it probably wasn't like super like schmaltzy or just like pouring out with emotions all the time. I'm sure when he told people that he loved them, it meant something. But just very reluctant to express emotions and feelings because Aquarius is like, emotions, that's for human beings and dogs. I'm a robot, especially with the Capricorn sun. And he sort of does look like King of the Hill a little bit, which is sort of my. Hank Hill has a weak chin, although he has a cartoon. But very like square cut, square head. Venus in Aquarius. Venus in Aquarius does talk about like somebody who dates multiple people almost as like test subjects. So it's like dating them is really kind of horrible because like you have a medical tag in your ear and they might like release you back to the wild just to see how you do and come back and check on you like how someone might do a tiger. And his eighth house is in Pisces, so this kind of talks, like uh, emboldens or emphasizes what I was talking about in his Virgo second house, where it's like his connection to God and divination and spirituality and intuition is very deep. It's how he makes his money. And then how he makes his money. Like, he might have gotten to like sports gambling and betting on sports gambling through like using psychic intuition. That might be just something that I want to do. So I might be pushing it on him, but he has like he's extrasensory abilities. The society, what is that movie? It's like the Society of Magical Black People or whatever type shit going on in his life. Um, but I guess also like childbirth makes him very emotional, which childbirth very emotional. Like why is childbirth emotional? It's because like when you have the kid it comes back with like your grandfather's eyes and then it makes you think about life and death and your existence. You're like, oh my god, like this is the same grandfather who used to beat me, because I was bad or jumping on the bed, and now I'm literally holding him in my arms and he's a baby. I'm gonna start crying. It's like, oh, he's a baby now. Now I can beat him. Seven, eight, nine. Okay, and then so his ninth house in Aries. So I don't even know why I keep saying this, but like maybe I don't have anything else to say about the ninth house. But like technically, or what people have been saying is that the ninth house is the house of long-term relationships. So marriage or long-term relation, a good sign or energy for marriage or long-term relationships for him would be the people born on the sign of Aries. And I guess that could be like an Aries sun, moon, or rising, Aries Mercury, whatever. Like don't go too crazy. But when I was analyzing David Bowie's chart, um, who had rising Aquarius, his most well-known romantic partner, Iman, was a Leo sun, which I didn't look into the rest of her chart. She could have a Leo stellium, sun, moon, and rising. Maybe I'll do that later. Who knows? But that's just what astrology says. This also says to me that, but that I guess maybe that energy brings him a lot of anger as well, or anger and embarrassment. Like maybe like I don't know. He's like a tough guy as a boxer. So maybe it's like in his mind um to keep his family and his wife and the people or the person that he was married to a secret. Um, and then in his 10th house, we have Taurus. I don't think I knew that he was a Capricorn or something. All of his Earth houses are like really exciting. Like it's weird too. Like reading these charts, I was like, I did a couple comedians like Jim Carrey, and it's funny because like I don't even use a picture of them in the video, but I get excited like Jim Carrey's there. I'm like, ooh, this is a Jim Carrey video. This is gonna be funny, and then it's not because it's just me rambling about astrology. And I really like the Drew Barrymore one too. I'm like, ooh, Drew Barrymore, and it's like, no, it's just her name, honestly. But when I did Ashton Kutcher's chart, it was like actually like his chart was funny. Like reading his chart brought me like humor, and I felt laughing. I kept making fun of his name. He might hate it. I don't know, but it was like it was funny to me. I was like, this chart is funny, and then this chart is just like It's like very cool and very powerful, and like I'm like, ooh, neato, like so neato that you're doing that. But he has Saturn, his midheaven, Mars, and Neptune and Taurus. Let's double check. Saturn, midheaven, Uranus. A lot of them are in retrograde. What else did I say? Mars, Saturn. Um, I took my socks off and I'm holding them in my hand right now. I don't know what the hell is going on. Uranus. It gets so uncomfortable doing these videos. Midheaven in Taurus, Uranus in Taurus. Sometimes I can't focus. And then Mars in Taurus and Saturn in Taurus. Okay. So maybe his limitation, sometimes he has difficulty focusing or whatever. Midheaven, North Node, talk about like your trajectory in life and your destiny. So as I was saying with his North Node and Virgo in his second house, it's almost like leading people through virtue to financial stability. I don't know if he ever did like, I don't know. I'm gonna look up Mike Tyson, or what's his name? Muhammad Ali. But Muhammad Ali never got out there and sold Qurans to anybody that I don't think, or Mike Tyson's grills. But there's like something about him, whether it's his, like I just said, like his reputation. Like, Capricorn is the sign of reputation. So, if that's just his reputation, then, he had a dedication to Allah and he had a dedication to his body. That probably helped a lot of people. It's like, it's what he was put on this planet to do, to encourage people, his people, into fitness. So not even necessarily African American people, but people from like I said, like the breadbasket of America, like get into sports, get into religion, take care of yourself, fight past these limitations. That's why God sent him. That was his mission on Earth. He acts like a Taurus, so he's very financially savvy. Maybe he never needed to go out and sell any type of Mike Tyson grills. Mike Tyson grills? George Foreman grills. George Foreman grills. Um, but it's also a limitation for him. So maybe like started to act really rich, or maybe he's always acted like, and that's the thing too, because poor people and poor and desperate people, they do poor desperate things like do drugs or abuse themselves or other people. And maybe even when he was not famous, he still had a lot of virtue. Maybe didn't drink alcohol. And when you tell somebody you don't drink alcohol, it's like this thing that goes through their mind of all the reasons why they drink, to fight off physical pain, to fight off emotional pain. And this person is in your face, basically spitting, saying that they don't drink. And it's like, oh, well, I don't suffer from chronic physical pain, and I don't suffer from chronic emotional pain that then manifests into physical pain. I just work through things, and you're over here out of shape with a belly drinking. And so maybe that's like a reason why people wanted to bully him or attack him because of that. I don't know. He could have been an absolute lush and a drunk. This is what's coming through to me. But also it says his finances are boundless with this Uranus and Taurus. So it's like his family might have owned a farm. He might have bought a farm. He obviously bought the farm, eventually. And that's his 10th house. And that was his destiny, was to like fight past limitations, to fight, to be a fighter, to be a father, to be a grandfather, to help people see through illusions, like the illusions of marketing and racism and everything that he did. Uh, it's like he's like almost like not even a celebrity. Like he's like too prolific of a person to have. I feel like next to all these like clowns that I'm doing natal chart readings for. Um, but that's his 10th house. I feel like he did his 10th house very well. And then he has an 11th house in Gemini. Ooh, gay. Just kidding. He's a 10th house in Gemini, or the 11th house in Gemini with Jupiter as well. But this does talk about having a lot of like fruity little friends, and bringing him a lot of luck, which could help him with television, makeup. But that's the thing too, like being presented well in media and in photography and in makeup, it does take a bunch of little F words to help you. You know what I mean? So, like not F, like fairies, little impies, gelflings, little cute little people, to help you out. And he's very lucky with that. Also, like other athletes probably have done a lot to bolster his ego and fan the fires of his fame. Like I said, like I don't know any, like I'm not a boxing guru. Um, I've never really been into boxing. I'm sure other people, MMA fighters, I'm sure it's like, and then MMA fighters, honestly, the only one I know is Andrew Tate because of all the stink that he creates. Um, but I mean, that's the thing too. Like, I don't really believe that there's a genetic difference or a spiritual difference between gay and straight people. I think it's just like how you view the world and what you want to do. And I think like under his perspective of the world is that homosexuality is a temptation, not necessarily a sin, but a temptation. And his whole thing is fighting against temptation. Uh, Mars and Saturn in his 10th house. So it's like him having been gay or having been known to be gay in the 1960s as one of the most powerful men in the world, like, Vladimir Putin or the president might be have a lot of political power, but I'm pretty sure, you put Ronald Reagan and or whoever was president, Coolidge or some shit, in the Oval Office against Muhammad Ali, and it's like, okay, you guys fight, and then whoever wins the fight is the president. Muhammad Ali obviously would win, right? Um, and yeah, so that's his 11th house, right? Probably was very lucky with technology. Like, definitely wasn't like a Luddite grandfather. But I think he had like I said, this could be George Foreman, Mike Tyson, like Michael Jordan, like any other athlete that I don't know. But I think he might have had like some type of Parkinson's or something, or issues moving, or partial paralyzation towards the end of his life. Which I guess also talks about this. But I guess like being lucky to have experienced that type of illness at a time in the future, the 11th house, the future, where there is technology to help him. And then Mr. Muhammad Ali, he has a 12th house in Cancer. The 12th house in Cancer does again talk about like, his mother making him really sad. It could even be like the whole sense of like Yo Mama or that LL Cool J song, like Mama Said Knock You Out, sort of like has something to do with him maybe. But it's like women, his mother, they make him miserable and sad. And maybe it's because they're not as strong as men, and he feels the need to take care of them, or felt the need to take care of them, like physically and financially. But then also like the 12th house and the 12th house, these 12th house people making you feel miserable. It's also just like your mother coming around and telling embarrassing stories about you. And it could be even them like dead naming him, like, oh, you change your name to Muhammad Ali, you'll always be my son, you'll always be Cassius Clay to me. Which, like, no offense to Islam and no offense to, and I guess like screw Europe and white supremacy and all those things. And you can't really be going around with some Roman name named like, Julius Caesar, Chuck Taylor, and then be like fighting against the white man. But Cassius Marcellus Clay is a beautiful name. Like, we should all be so lucky. Oh my god, Cassius Marcellus Clay, and I'm here to rearrange your face. So that's great. But so anyway, he's born in the year of the horse. Let's just look up year of the horse real quick as we are learning, because I know stuff about different you know zodiac signs and stuff, but like I don't know the full legend. And I usually, just like with my journey when I started at 5 years old with like you know um regular astrology, uh I was like, all I need to know, or I think most people, like, all they do is read about their own sign. And when it comes to Chinese astrology, I've read, like, obviously my own sign and several others. And actually, the horse, it's ridiculous because everybody I know is a horse. So this basically just says, yeah, it was Tang Dynasty. I should look up an article to read about the horse before I start recording the videos. What year was he born? Born 19. What year was he born, class? 1942. That's correct. You guys are so smart. Thank you so much for listening, sharing, subscribing, and liking. Oh, he's a water horse. That's cool. Okay. Okay. People born in the year of the horse of 1942 have a good health fortune. Walking away from meals every day ensure it's like a horoscope. Well, the horse is a jerk. That's all you need to know. Horse I've always associated with Gemini, but I think in one of my other videos they have like some connection to Libra, like the position and placement that they came into the Jade Emperor's race. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So just as he was thinking the horse would be next animal to arrive, a sneaky snake wriggled out from around the horse's hooves. The horse was so surprised that he jumped backwards, giving the snake a chance to take the sixth place in the race. The poor horse had to be satisfied with seventh place. So that's why I was like, I feel like the horse is Libra because he came in seventh place in the Jade Emperor's race. Okay. Not long afterwards, a raft arrived. A raft, not a giraffe, but a raft, like a boat, arrived carrying the goat, the monkey, and the rooster. They explained to the emperor how they had shared the raft that the rooster had found. The goat and monkey had cleared weeds and pushed the raft to the shore. The emperor was very pleased that the animals worked together. He said the goat would be the eighth zodiac animal, the monkey the ninth, and the rooster the tenth. Okay, so that's like a little bit different than the legend that I'm fully aware with, where the monkey wasn't even there. Monkey was like, I'm not running any type of race. You guys are idiots. I'm gonna hang out in a tree and watch you all like drown in this lake. But I don't know anybody that's, I guess, is goat sheep too? Yeah, goat is sheep. So I don't know anybody born near the goat. I only know people born near the sheep. Um, like I have a lot of goat friends, and rooster friends, and I could definitely see us all getting onto a raft together and helping each other out. Okay. So I'm gonna put my socks and shoes back on because for some reason the Holy Ghost, maybe I don't know, maybe because I'm getting ready to fight or something. The Holy Ghost just took me over, and like my feet weren't itching or anything. It was like take your socks off. It's like take your shoes and socks off. And now I'm like sitting here barefoot. So thank you so much for liking, sharing, subscribing. Thank you for booking your own personal natal chart reading where we can explore, your self-esteem, your relationship to your parents, your relationships, your destiny, what you should be doing. Because I always feel like you're gonna do what you're supposed to do, um, like regardless. But sometimes it's like good to get a tarot card reading or a natal chart reading just to know that it's coming up, right? But then sometimes with psychic intuition, it's like, okay, let's say boxing wasn't a thing. Let's say boxing's a brand new thing or MMA, right? And you're getting a reading. It's like, oh, you're gonna become you got Aries in this position. You're gonna become some type of fighter, and it's like fighting what? Like I don't want to fight anything. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, I don't know. Maybe like people entertainment will die and people start fighting like sickly bears or something like how they used to do in the circus. You never know. But that's your destiny. So it's like get into shape. And before I did this video, I was like scrolling on like Facebook or whatever, and I don't know if everybody's algorithms are like this. It's probably just mine. But I was like, oh my God, like everything on the internet. I mean, everything on the internet is porn, and then everything on television back in the day, HBO, Cinemax, The Days of Our Lives, soap operas, it was all porn, you know what I mean? And I was like, oh God, it's just a bunch of like athletic guys, like muscles and things like that. And I was like, I'm so glad that God told me to start doing yoga because it'd be really difficult to go through this time period in media, like not being in shape because it'd like crush me. I was like, I'm in shape and it's still like soul crushing, you know what I mean? So maybe that's a thing that some other people are going through. Maybe that's something or a way that Muhammad Ali felt towards like the twilight years of his life. I want to say something about Islam or whatever, but I guess I don't know anything about Islam. And thank you so much for listening. I will see you in my next video. Bye.